Okay, guys, welcome to Tea with Mike, episode number 22. Joining me today is Sean Carroll. Thanks for being on the show, Sean.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Okay, guys, so the tea fact of the day is after water, tea is the most consumed beverage on the planet, and that comes from list25.com. So, Sean, what's your favorite type of tea and why?
Green tea. I'm a fan of green tea because it's got some health benefits. It's got health benefits like anti-inflammatory response, can help you lose weight. It can actually said to help brain function. So it's my go-to. I'm not much of a tea guy, but when I drink tea, that's what I go for.
Very good, and I've got some of good old Yorkshire tea as I drink on literally every single episode that I've done.
Yeah, I've got to try that.
I
should try it myself.
Yeah, you can get it. I'm trying to think where you can get it. Like IDA definitely has it, and those sort of more like I wouldn't say like more like specialized stores. No, I think Walmart probably would have it, stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Cool. You ever go to like places like you ever go to places like David's Tea or any places like that?
Oh, this has been brought up before, but as of yet, I haven't been to David's Tea, even though maybe I should.
Teawithmike, and you haven't been to David's Tea? No.
But it's called David's Tea.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So tell the Teawithmike audience a little bit about you.
So I'm 23 years old. I'm currently at RDC for a degree in sociology. Outside of school, I am an amateur mixed martial arts fighter. I compete in various combat sports, grappling, kickboxing, and specifically MMA is my go-to. I've been doing martial arts for about 12 years, and I've been competing for about 4 or 5. I train out of Arashido Red Deer.
Yep.
And yeah, that's about it, man. I'm pretty straight up.
Straight up. It's like education and MMA.
Right.
So let's dive in a little deeper. So how did you kind of get started down this like MMA combat sports? Did you put in your bio sort of path?
Well, like many people, I shouldn't say most, many people that join martial arts, it started with childhood bullying. You know, I got picked on a lot. I was quite a small kid, kind of a weird kid. So I got to an age where my older brother, I was about 12 or 13, and he said, "Hey, I'm getting too old. I can't stick up for you anymore. You gotta start doing it yourself." So he took me to this martial arts gym. I grew up in Innisfail, and he took me to this place called the Chinese Boxing Connection. It was like MMA gym. They did like kung fu, karate, jiu-jitsu there. So he took me there, man, and yeah, like I was never really good into any other sports. I didn't like hockey very much, anything like that. I was kicked off the baseball team, but yeah, so my first day, I was obsessed with it, man. And I've been doing it since. And then yeah, it started out as a self-defense thing, and then I got really into UFC when I was young too, and I just remember seeing it on the TV, being a little brat kid, being like, I want to do that someday. I didn't realize the hard work it took until I got to an adult age, and that's when I started putting in the work and getting it done.
What if you could really draw in like a little further, like what is it specifically do you like about it? What do you as a person like get out of it?
Yeah, well, I think to me it's like the rawest form of competition between two people. You know, when you strip down hockey from the ball and you strip down the sticks, what is it? It's nothing, right? And when you have mixed martial arts, two people competing inside of a small space, there's nothing more raw. It gets to that. That's the ultimate form of competition, and I believe that it unlocks a certain part of human nature that people tend to ignore, and I've always just wanted to access that part of me as much as I could. So,
what would you tell the person on the other side of the fence is like? That goes for the perspective of all fighting sports are like violent.
Oh yeah, I get that argument all the time. You know, like that's true. It's a lot of people too, right? They see violence, and we were taught our whole lives violence is bad. You know, you're taught as a kid, don't hit. So you know, when people see a sport with two people with gloves on that barely cover their freaking knuckles and they're trying to beat the crap out of each other, I can understand where they're coming from. But yeah, like I said, to me, it's a sport, man. In ancient Greece, they were doing pancration, which is basically MMA, you know, friggin' they had gladiators. Like, people like to see violence, man, and I think, why not? I don't think we should ignore that. I think if we're going to if we're gonna have it as a sport, it should be a very controlled way. I believe combat sports is the ultimate sports, man. It's just my favorite.
Nice. I guess in some regards, it's better to have combat sports in a controlled environment within an arena versus on the street, for example.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of street fighting by any means, but I have been in a few myself, so I can't say much about that.
So how popular right now would you say combat sports in general, MMA specifically, is in Red Deer and Central Alberta?
Central Alberta is crazy, man. Just probably within the last 10 years, I maybe want to say within the five, it's blown up. MMA kind of hit Red Deer at a random time, UFC was just starting, like kind of just getting into it. There was a lot of people that had black belts in karate and black belts in jiu-jitsu, but no one really, MMA as a sport wasn't really developed. So now more than ever, there's MMA anywhere you go in Alberta. There's MMA gyms. We have a few UFC fighters outside of Calgary that fight out of Calgary. Alberta in itself for MMA has gotten really big. Any city you go to, any big city you go to in Alberta, there's probably an MMA event there that you can catch once or twice a year. So I'd say it's getting pretty popular.
I'd say specifically in Red Deer, like kind of echoing what you're saying, that support for it is definitely growing, because I personally worked as security at MMA fights at the former Sheraton Hotel / Cambridge Hotel.
Yeah.
It is now, and it's packed every time, right?
Yeah. I fought on one of those cards actually. They got a pretty good crowd going. And when you tell people that there's fights and booze to be sold and food, they'll usually show up. So yeah, they get busy.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but your goal is you want to fight on the MMA card, right?
Yeah, well, I have a fight coming up in November.
At the Hayward World Fighting Championships.
Yeah, it's gonna be here in Red Deer, November 28th, I think they were saying the day was. So it'll be my second time fighting in my home city. So yeah, I've just been kind of laying the way for that. I've got a Muay Thai tournament lined up in 2 weeks, but that's just to keep me sharp until my fight. So.
How did you fare the first time?
My first fight? Oh man, I was definitely underprepared. You tell yourself you're ready, and then you get in there, and everything's surreal. My first fight, I went in there. I felt like I was super conditioned, and I went in and I seen the guy across me, and it's weird, man. My feet were all sweaty. Looking around, I could hear people chanting, and it was weird.
Yeah.
It was
the whole
cool.
Environment too, right?
Yeah. It kind of spooked me out, but then the first couple minutes going in and out, it was a good fight. It was a hard fight. It was a back and forth fight. It ended up getting fight of the night, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it got fight of the night. I ended up getting dropped in the third round. Me and him were going back and forth. I had an upper hand in the second round, and then the third round, he kicked me in the body, and I fell back right into the fence, and that was the end. But honestly, man, it was the best experience of my life. My first fight was definitely the hardest fight of my life, and it was definitely my favorite memory. And then my close friend Connor, he fought that night as well. He was the main event on that fight.
Okay.
And he won. I was more happy for him to win than I was myself. It was just a good environment, a great night, man. So.
Okay, so the real question is, apart from the environment, what song did you choose as your walk-on song?
Oh, I chose a song by a hip hop artist named RZA. The song was called "You Can't Stop Me Now." It's really chill. It's a really slow hip hop song, and I kind of regretted it because, I needed to get a woken up, pick me up. I was all in the cage. I was nervous and scared. Yeah, and I come out to this really slow, smooth song, and I just psyched myself out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a good time.
Do you have any ideas what song you'll be playing next once you get to that second fight?
Oh man, a lot of people, they usually have the song picked out right there, but I'm kind of the guy that I pick it the day of, whatever I'm feeling. Yeah, it's not too much of a big deal for me, but I just know I'm so picky with music. I'm huge into music, so I know if I pick one now, by the time that time comes, maybe I'll be sick of that song. I'll listen to it too many times.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I'd feel like some guys that fight would be they don't want to think about the music on the day. Instead, the person that's being paid to hit the buttons or whatever is hitting the buttons, and then they're really in the zone, right? So it's just kind of interesting, the different perspective.
I know a few guys that walk out and they have their walkout music playing, but they put in earplugs, so it's all silent. I thought that was pretty weird. I don't think I could do that, but
But I guess that's like anything in life. You're gonna have the people that do that, then the people that pick the music on the day, and then the people that like try to hype up the crowd, right? As they're
yeah.
walking out, right?
Showman, yeah. Yeah, I understand that. I gotta maybe look into that, getting the crowd hyped. Maybe that'll help me a little more.
How are the crowds at MMA fights? Do you find that they favor one particular person, basically whoever's got the most people there that they know, or is it a little bit more balanced, or is it by city?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah. Home. If you're fighting, usually if you're in a different city and you're fighting the hometown guy, they're usually going to cheering for him. As far as fans at the MMA events, they vary. I like to separate them into two categories. There's the martial artists, so they're there, and they're usually the ones that are sitting very quiet, watching, And then there's people that are there. There's the people that are there to see knockouts. They're the ones that are drinking, and
it's
when they
Friday
see
night, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, when they see it go to the ground, they start booing and stuff. So there's two. It's a mixture of a crowd, but definitely a fair share of both. I would say the loud, obnoxious drunks are the most people that are at the crowds, which is unfortunate, but it pays the bills.
Right, you gotta have people in seats.
Yeah, I don't mind. Some of those loud, obnoxious bastards are my friends too, so I can't say that.
Hopefully they don't watch us. Well, I hope they do, but
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will.
so. Hmm. So within MMA, do you have anyone that's like influenced your either fighting style or motivated you to keep like going in the sport to the goal of doing more MMA fights?
Yeah, I had favorite athletes, favorite fighters looking up to growing up. It always varied. As you get like when you're a kid, you like certain stuff and it goes back and forth. Nowadays, I don't think there's many there's many fighters that I am like favorites of that I could put specifically. I have so many favorite fighters, but as far as like inspiration wise, is probably the people closest to me. Like my first trainer, Logan Bruno. He's just a savage, man. He went to Japan and got a black belt in Kyokushin
Oh,
karate.
really? Okay.
Well, then he came and his dad was the owner of the gym that I first started at, and he was also my head trainer. Just that whole family, they inspired me to keep training. Just their respect towards martial arts and their attitude towards training, they were always inspirational. Even when I left Innisfail and I began training at other places, that kind of always stuck with me. Now the people around me, guys I train with, specifically, I got my buddy Jet Grand. He's 14-0, man. I could go on and on about this guy. He's got some record. He's going to be fighting in 2 weeks in the European Amateur Championships.
Yeah, I saw a little bit here some of the successes he's having with that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Seen
killing.
him fight too. I've seen him fight.
Yeah, he
MMA fights, right?
oh yeah, he's had a few.
Yeah.
He's had 14-0, I think he is now, and yeah. So training with him is it's inspiring. You know what I mean? He always pushes me to do my best, and he's everything you want to be as a fighter, right? He's humble. I don't hear that kid ever talk about being undefeated anything. He welcomed me to come train with him at his gym, and it's just been good. So
Cool.
yeah, and then of course I got my coaches like my professor Gary Vig. He's also someone I could give a shout out to. He keeps me in line. So
We were actually talking the other day, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he's originally from England, isn't he?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Or he spent time in England. That's what he was telling me.
Oh yeah.
If I read the messages a little more carefully, but
Oh cool. I never knew that. I'm on a professor and student basis with him, so
oh,
I haven't got too far in his personal life yet, but we'll get there.
is it pretty like strict? Like is there a fine line?
When you come into the gym there, especially at Arashido, we joke around, we have fun and stuff like that. Always have fun, but we're there all to do the same thing. We're there to work and focus on our skills. So it's not that it's not that it's all fun, strict and everything. We focus, we get it done. So, but as far as me and Jet and my other teammates, we like to goof around outside of the gym, and yeah, it's a good time.
Nice. How tight is the group? Is it 4 or 5 people? Is it 10? Is it 12?
Like as far as like is how many people are you asking, or how like?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so like
Our
our
I guess. Well,
Our jiu-jitsu class is huge. Our Brazilian jiu-jitsu class is just about 10 to 20 people usually at a time, all blue belts and up, a few white belts, but they're all really, really good guys. We got a couple, uh, quite a few regulars actually that come to the Muay Thai classes, and then our MMA classes are usually roughly like the same 5 to 6 or 7 people that are just the solid fighters, the ones
yeah.
that show up to get it done. Yeah. Also, too, with martial arts, it's hard for me to say that because some people take time off and then come back and then they'll train really hard. So our gym, will like most gyms, fluctuates with who's there and who's not. So, but as far as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man, you want a lot of people to roll and you want good guys. Arashi knows where it's at because I'm getting tapped every time there, man. I'm worst there. I admit to say that.
That's man. So what else do you have time for kind of in your life apart from MMA and fighting and combat sports?
Nothing. Yeah, no, I try to, yeah, I'm really into music, man. I like to go, I see lots of concerts as much as I can. I play music, I play guitar, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, I play bass as well. Honestly, man, when I'm in school and then I'm training and I'm working, I don't have time to do anything else. Currently, I'm just working and training, so in my free time, if I'm not sore and trying to take it easy at home, I'm usually working or training, right? I work at Harley Davidson, Red Deer, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's a wicked job, man. I get to just clean bikes and just like see wicked bikes all day and a good atmosphere. So yeah, I don't do much, man. I'm just a fighter. It's the fighter life, eat, sleep,
Harley
train.
Davidson's in the fighter's life. Nice.
Yeah, I like it, man. That's the life I live.
How long have you been at Harley Davidson?
Oh, I just started there this summer, actually. I wasn't really working much throughout the school year, and then
Yeah.
a friend of mine tried to get me hired there last summer, and then I just said no. I'm just a little busy, blah blah. Blah. And then this summer, I got hired, man, and I'm glad I should have done it sooner. So I'm thinking of debating taking a year off school and competing as much as I can this next year because it's hard. I was only competing maybe once, twice a year when I was in school, so I want to crank those numbers up. And now's the time. I'm not getting any younger, so yeah.
So what's the kind of, is there an optimal age for MMA fighting?
Oh man, I wish there was because like there'll be guys that are my buddy Jet, for example, he's 20. So yeah, 21, 22, and he is 15-0, right? The guy's been fighting forever. But then there's guys, that are in the UFC who are champions and they're 38, 40 years old, and they've got. So it's hard to explain, man. It's really there is no specific age I'd say where most people compete at, but there is a burnout age where I think, depending on how long you train, like you take damage over your years of fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd say about once you get past 35, that's when people start to hang up the gloves and call it quits. But a lot of people call it earlier than that. It's a hard sport on you, man, and get out early. That's usually what people say. Get out early and while you're on top, but that's easier said than done.
So how far can you go with it? So like the one goal is to get to the MMA fights. What happens if you become like top in the weights, isn't it? Is that right?
Well, yeah. So top, you basically what I'd have to do is if I win a few fights around here, I'll be up in the amateur rankings in Alberta and then Western Canada. Then maybe go take some fights elsewhere around Canada and then become top of Canada. And I'm an amateur right now, right? So basically the goal as it is to just win as much as I can, get as much experience as I can, feel the heat and feel the pressure. And then when I'm comfortable and I feel that my skills are adaptable, I can go into pro. That's when my coaches and I will make the choice. But as of now, man, now is just, it's the rough copy of my MMA career. I'm trying to figure out what my style is, and I'm trying to find out what my strengths and weaknesses are. And there's a lot of weaknesses, so I got a long way to go. Yeah.
Have there ever been days kind of like where you like questioned why you're doing it and what's helped you stop yeah, how do you focus the mental side just as much as the physical side?
Yeah, like my coach explains it best. He says, there'll be the days where you're at training and you feel like you're on top and you'll be killing it. Nothing seems to go wrong, and then there'll be the days you come in the gym and you just can't get one thing down and it'll make you feel like crap. And you question, like you said, question why I'm doing this. So a big thing of when I was in school, for example, my last fight, I was cutting weight that week. So I was like doing my thing, sweating it out. I made weight, I fought, I won, and then that next 2 days later I had final exams, so I was stressed out beyond relief, and I don't think it was the fight I asked why am I doing this. I asked why am I in school working and fighting at the same time. That took a really big toll on me. That's when I kind of made the choice. I was like, man, if I want to really get into this MMA stuff, I got to take some time off and put in the work. So it's kind of hard. I half-ass school, go hard on MMA, and then work. You got to
Yeah.
have full potential in both. You can't just half-ass one and go full in the other, right? So, and I didn't have the energy to do my best in school and do my best as a martial artist, unfortunately.
So what's do you know what your vision is kind of after the MMA, the fighting career? Like in terms
Yeah,
of career,
yeah.
or do you
Well,
want
I mean,
to what's do you know? Maybe that.
like my goal ultimately is I'd like to own my own gym one day and coach. I love coaching. At my old gym I trained at, I coached kids kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, and I loved it. I'm in school because I want to work with kids. I worked for Boys and Girls Club for a bit, and so probably after MMA, if I could somehow get involved with coaching and bring
Nice.
my martial arts and my love for working with youth, if I could bring that together, I think
But
I'd be the happiest. So yeah, that's kind of my goal, but we'll see how that goes. I need to, before I can start a gym, I have to have the credentials, right? So I got to get that experience and get my martial arts to the level of where people will want to train under me, right? So.
nice. So let's go from fighting to music. What is some of the coolest concerts that you've ever seen?
Oh God, man. So I think to this day, I still say that one of my best concerts I seen live was Queens of the Stone Age. I don't know if you know that band.
I
Uh,
don't.
they're really wicked alternative rock band. You should check them out. But reason why that I like that concert so much is because I seen the opening band for them was this band called Deep Valley, and it's these two girls there's these two girls there. One's a drummer, one's a guitar player, and she plays and she sings as well. But they're just a really thrashy blues rock band, and
Nice.
I've listened to them since. So that was a good concert. I went to Black Sabbath. That was really crazy.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that was good. Tragically Hip. I seen them when I was 14 or 13. I think I was 14, and that was one of my favorite bands, right? And of course, Gord Downey's a Canadian icon, so
Yep.
that was an amazing concert. I've been to so many, man, and I couldn't tell you. Couldn't. There's so many good memories. I could plan to make more, that's for sure. I got none coming up though, but
Oh, because you're focused on MMA, right?
yeah, man, it's a constant struggle, right? People want to make plans, I want to make plans, but next
Yeah.
thing you know, I get offered a fight or I got to fight close to then, so I don't want to get out of my groove. I like
Nice.
to I like I like to party and have a good time. So usually if I go to those concerts, I usually won't train for a couple days after that because I'll be feeling it.
Post recovery, it's called in the
Yeah,
in the training plan. Post recovery.
yeah, it's part of the hard part about being a self-destructive MMA fighter is you got to balance the two. So
Nice. So my background is in my audio visual, so I've worked a lot of like concerts, I set up a lot of cool events. But the only concert to date that I've been to as an audience member, without not actually like working, was Queen and Adam Lambert at Rogers.
oh, cool. That'd be sweet.
Like on the floor, like pretty close to like where all the techs have all that lighting and sound stuff. Like
Yeah.
it was the coolest concert, and I'll tell you why. That not only was the music out of the blue, like everybody that was there was like so passionate into it, like rocking out, dancing, and it was actually because Queen is obviously an older band. There was minimal like kids there, so like at the end of the concert there was like barely any litter on the floor as there usually is at concerts with beer and stuff, and that's when like people have had a good time because
Oh,
they're
that's
listening to the
cool.
music, right?
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, yeah. So that'd be a good experience. So you work security then at a couple of concerts then too, or?
Yeah, I've done everything from audio visual to security, stampedes, concerts, rodeos. I've
Oh,
done a
that's
lot of
great.
like different things, done events, kind of a mixed bag. And now I'm kind of transitioning into media communications, like marketing,
Nice.
and
That's
then
sweet.
building Teawithmike to hopefully great height. That's the
Yeah, you're
goal.
sure you're sure rolling, man. You got lots of followers and people are starting to like it. So you caught my attention very quick. I remember when you first started, you had 300 followers, and now you're about double that. So
Yeah, no, it's building all the time. It's kind of exciting, you know. I like doing this. My background is in acting and theater, so this is a good mix of lots of different things. And I honestly, when I started it, I didn't know how. It was a random idea that I wrote down like on a piece of paper, and I didn't know what was gonna like happen next. And then like yeah, it seems to be picking up traction every single day.
Sometimes you just got to go for it, man. Like just take an idea and just give her, because like you said, you're trying to bring back the casual conversation. So people like that. As you can tell, the age of podcasts, who hasn't seen Joe Rogan podcast? And
I know, right?
yeah, right. So
Check it out for inspiration. Like it was kind of like, how long should the? I'm just editing with my editor, like all of the stuff for like podcast and YouTube. So we've nearly caught up on the backlog, so should be launching pretty soon. So that'll help take it to new heights, which is exciting.
yeah, man, that'd be awesome. I'll be sure to tune in for that.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, do you have any like kind of like switch it up for the last little bit? Any like questions for me? What are you curious about? Because obviously we don't know each other that well, obviously. But
Yeah, well, I see you at RDC. What are you going to school for then? I see you at the school.
well, I was going to school for media and communications. I just finished up my practicum on Friday.
Crazy.
So now I'm graduating.
Oh, you're done?
Yeah, I'm done, dude.
Oh, good for you, man. Lucky bastard.
My second program at Red Deer College, so yeah, graduation's on Friday, and then that's it.
And then me over here, I barely have the energy to get down one program, so good for you.
Well, we kind of touched on it. You've just kind of got to follow your dreams. What makes you happy? What makes you get out of bed? For you, it's MMA fighting, as we know from this kind of episode and stuff. For me, it's talking to people because I'm an extrovert and I like conversation and just having fun, marketing, social media, content creation. So do what makes you happy, I guess.
Yeah, I made a decision that I didn't want to be, like 40 years old and asking myself what would have happened if I went for it. So I'm going for it. And if it burns me while I go for it, then so be it.
So what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone that's questioning whether they should take the next step or start something new that they're curious about?
Let me think about this. My whole life I was told you should figure out what you want to do early in your life so that later in your life you won't have any regrets, right? But one thing I found out is that early in your life you don't know what you want to do. So how are you going to decide what you want in your future, right? So my advice to anyone that wants to chase their dreams or goals is just go for it, because life's long and you don't want to spend it doing something you hate. You don't want to do that. So do what you like to do. Try to make some money off it so you can live. But as far as that is, just be happy you do what you want to do. It's pretty simple, man. But it's easier said than done because I get pretty fucking stressed out sometimes, man.
Nice,
yeah,
dude.
man.
That's really good.
Thank you.
All right, guys, this was Tea with Mike, episode number 22. Follow your dreams. Be happy. Just follow something you love. Start today. Don't put it off till tomorrow. This was Sean. He was great. Jab, 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 right hook.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having
Thanks,
me.
Sean.
Take it easy.